So a big problem with the previous video was that I moved a little bit too much and did way too many cuts, so this time I will try to collect my thoughts much better before speaking, to have longer segments of me speaking and move a lot less. So the cuts are not as many and not as annoying. That will also make it easier for me to edit the video because I don't need to make as many cuts, so everyone wins. So today I have this exploration ship. It's much smaller than my previous exploration ships and much less powerful in directions except upwards. So here's the previous versions. As you can see, they all share a pretty similar layout and have a lot of both upward and forward and backward thrust. While that does make them easier to control, it makes them a lot more expensive and a lot heavier. While this one only has a lot of upward thrust, and in other directions it's just enough for maneuvering. So in order to accelerate quickly in other directions, you would need to actually rotate the craft and then accelerate. While it does make controlling it a little bit more difficult, it also makes it a little bit more fun, because Space Engineers doesn't have really that many flight mechanics that are complicated or complex or interesting in any way, so needing to actively move does make it a little bit more interesting controlling something. Alright, so let's go over the process. Here's the first prototypes of it. Just started with some basic stuff. Here's a little bit more stuff added. So I started with the basic functional core, like survival kit, reactors and blah blah blah. Then started adding thrusters. Then I did a few big reworks, started from scratch a few more times, until we got to this layout. Now to explain what is going on here, there's a lot of upward thrust, which also made to be positioned somewhere around the center of the mass, which does not matter because in Space Engineers you can have your center of mass be as misaligned as you want and still fly totally fine, but it will look a little bit weird. So I tried to make it look a little bit more realistic, let's say, and haven't centered. A little bit of a concern is this reactor down here. If you land too hard, you might destroy it. But you know what, it's totally not an oversight, it's just a feature to make flying a little bit more fun, totally 100%, trust me. The reason I added these small thrusters here is because the upward time thrust is so powerful that docking in space might be a little bit more annoying. When you press upwards, you will just fly away and it will be hard to stop, so you disable the big thrusters and use the small ones when you want precise maneuvers. In terms of features, there's survival kit, of course, because this is kinda exploration scout ship. O2H2 generator, oxygen tank and hydrogen tank, with both of them having their access opened, so you can put the bottles in, because bottles can't travel through the conveyor system, because they are too big to travel through small conveyors. Cryopod might be useful in case you need to log off on an online server. Servers are all online, that's kinda a redundancy. On a server. A gun, just in case, because why not? An air vent to suck the oxygen out of the atmosphere. Minimal amount of conveyors, in fact there's only one conveyor here, this thingy here. Then I added some devices, antennas, beacons, cameras, landing gears, yada yada. Projector, a small battery is useful for a fully reactor powered ship to power the conveyors to transfer stuff like uranium inside the reactor, because the conveyors don't work without power. Experimented a bit with the visuals on it, tried adding some antenna thingies or whatever. Did some more and some more and a bit more until bam, there we have the final version. I think the remote control was on previous versions under directly or above directly this magnetic plate, which is not very good because it was inaccessible, so I put it here. Now you can access it. It's a good feature to have every component easily accessible for repairs. Let's see, I added a parachute. In fact, I haven't even tested how well it would work. Let's test it right now. Alright, let's see. I don't think it matters if it's empty in the creative mode. Will it still work? Yes, it will. Right, we turn off the power. And as I thought, whoop, you do get your cockpit hit against the ground. But you know what? It's fine. At least most of the ship is saved. Ideally, the parachute would be somewhere in the middle, but nope, no space. So yeah, here's how you fly. To accelerate, you hold upwards and just pitch down, and then you can hold forward when leveling out. To turn, you roll and just oop. Might be a little bit annoying on Pertam, which does not have a lot of atmospheric density. But in terms of thruster power, it should have enough power to go to orbit on any vanilla planet. So yeah, kinda limiting the thrust directions both makes for a more efficient ship, but also a more fun one, because you need to actively maneuver during flight, instead of just looking forward and flying there. Makes it more engaging and more dynamic. Okay, a little bit more about the control panel groupings. I stopped grouping literally everything. Oh, be careful not to crash. Oop. I stopped grouping literally everything because it's not really needed. It's annoying to do, and also F-Sync is if two grids with the same groups are docked to the same grid, then activating a group will activate stuff on them both, so it's nice to have as few components in the groups for that reason. And as few groups as possible, so you can rename them into different names in case you are using the same model of a ship. Alright, I think I'm mostly done with explaining stuff about this grid, so let's talk about just other stuff I've been doing. So, first of all, small color scheme changes. I thought about making stuff a little bit more interesting, and some other people mentioned it as well. So, why not just make these two parts a little bit shiny? It does not look out of place, but it does add a little bit more diversity to it. I think it's a good choice. If you have any other ideas to how I could change up the color palette, you are free to color the grid yourself and then send me the blueprint. Alright, a very big point from people was why is there not that much backward thrust on this miner? Because like usually it would be easier to mine looking down. Well, first point is that there's really not that much space for it. I guess you could fill up stuff with small thrusters, but it's eh. Second, it's not very efficient. You should usually have only one main thrust direction. So then why not have the thrust direction, main one, be the backwards one? Or the drill facing downwards? Well, the reason is the deposits are mostly horizontal. Once you get to them, they are a giant flat horizontal spot. So it's much easier to just get to them and then mine horizontally. So let's... Okay, and you can mine vertically if you need while you're empty. This thing has enough thrust for that, as you can see. So first thing first, you mine a big enough hole to go vertically if you want, or you do it with a like 45-degree angle to the deposit. And you do it only once. And then once you get to the deposit, you can easily mine it horizontally. So vertical miners are not very useful in most cases. As you can see, you can make either a vertical or a diagonal hole and then get out of it easily, even with a horizontal miner. So that's not a problem at all. Alright, so you probably have a question by this point. What is this? What is all this mess in the background? So I also tried making somewhat of a universally functional ship in spirit of something like this thing that got quite popular back in the day. It's like 3 or 2 years old at this point. Oh, by the way, I didn't fix the pivot point on this. So as you can see, it's backwards. I already explained multiple times how to fix the pivot point. I even have a video specifically about that. That is like 1 minute long, so I don't think I need to do it again. But this thing, while not being exactly efficient, it's still back in the day where I used a lot of small thrusters, I spammed conveyors, yada yada. It is more of a conventional ship, which pretty much has everything, an extensive interior with stuff, some rooms. I could do much better. I could do much better nowadays in terms of making a nice interior and exterior. In terms of making a nice ship in general. It's been like 3 years. So another idea I have is why not just make an efficient and functional core as I do nowadays. But I can add some funky stuff with doors and hangar doors and maybe some redundant conveyors because pipes look nice on top of it. It won't be critical for function, so you can always just remove it if you need more PCU. But it will be there. So I didn't quite get to that point yet, but here's me just doing stuff. Here's what I made so far. So as you can see, there's a core with cargo containers, some processing stuff around it. Here's a more functionally efficient or whatever core of stuff. I'll add some rooms here with doors and blah blah blah. Pipes with air vents. Just all the funky stuff that you don't really need, but it is nice to have. By the way, these DLC blocks are really that much better than non-DLC ones because a lot of their spots are airtight. Very convenient. I also slapped some guns, because why not? Since this thing is going to have a lot of thrust, then might as well make use of this thrust, because if it's unloaded, it's going to have quite a lot of acceleration. So it might make a decent, simple combat ship, which might destroy some even simpler stuff. I put the railguns on the sides here for now. You could put them in the middle to fire all of them at once. But I think for now I will just put them on the sides because it looks nicer and it might make them a little bit more redundant. And you shouldn't be shooting all of them at once anyway. So it's like aim with a gun, shoot it, aim with another, shoot it again. Or if you are firing all of them at once and the target is very mobile, it might actually maximize your chances of hitting it. Because you will cover a larger area. I did say that landing pads are kinda bad because they will get burned up by thrusters. But I think I will still include them. Because they are quite nice. And if you're in the safe zone, might as well use them. And a lot of ships on the workshop are made to be used with them, so it's kinda... While I will make my future ships have the sideways connection, to dock on the side and not burn stuff up. There is also an option to just land down on the landing pad, like most ships do. Also here's some experimentation with making a somewhat modular system, which is didn't go anywhere yet again. I think what I will make, if I do make a modular system, is something that doesn't have a lot of thrust and is more like a space train or something like that. Just you put modules in a noodle. It might be useful for a big main base processing ship/station. Because the smaller ships that you use for your everyday runs all around the system, you don't really need to have that much customization on them. You can easily make a ship that is pretty good for pretty much everyone. But when it comes to like big main base ships, of course for that it would be nice to have some sort of modularity and the ability to heavily customize it, because different servers, different play groups, play styles have different needs. Some may need more jump drives, some may need more cargo, some may need more refineries, and for larger projects modularity does make sense, because for smaller projects like alright, you already have blocks, they are pretty much there's your module. But when you are making something with like tens of refineries, then you might as well make it a little bit modular. Again, I'm still figuring out how I would do it exactly. Alright, I'll keep working on this thing, and probably the next video will cover it when it's finished. We'll see. Maybe something else will come up. And I guess on that note, let's see. Alright, so a very important thing is that you should go in the description and actually like the blueprint on the Steam, because surprisingly not a lot of people do, and it has a big, like a huge impact on Steam. If you get dislike bombed at the start, then oof, you will be deep down in the in the depths of the Steam workshop and no one will find you. But if you just receive a few likes early on, then ooh, you're very high up. So it's convenient. Liking YouTube video, not sure if it does that much. Some YouTubers say it do, some not. I haven't really done any research yet, so just do it. It's helpful. Subscribe. Yeah, subscribe. Why? Because I produce good content. I think so, at least. I don't do it too often. I do it sometimes, let's say that. So yeah, just do it. You can always unsubscribe later. That's an option. And then what else? If you have spare money, then throw the money at me. I do not do this for the money, but I need money to do this. So yeah, link to the Patreon in the description. And on that note, see ya. Oh, actually no, we are not done here yet. There's a thought just came into my head, something that annoys me heavily. People just don't make proper screenshots. So here's how to do it. Field of view 40. Probably enable the camera mode for higher precision and do not cast the shadow from your character. And then make sure to fill up the whole screen with the ship, please, because I see a lot of thumbnails on the workshop which have the ship literally like this. Okay, so where's the other space going? No idea. People are not viewing it at the full screen. So just have the ship take up the literally all the space on the thumbnail. And there's no distortion that occurs if you are doing it in the 40 field of view. Because if you are doing it with like 70 even, most of people do it with even higher. Then of course if you fill it up, then it gets noticeably distorted. And if you play an even higher field of view, then oh boy. Let's see. Ooh. So yeah, change to force the field of view and fully fill up the screen. And also, don't put any text, do not put any logos. First of all, the ship style should serve kind of as a logo for the ship. You don't need to put any faction stuff in it. Then the ship's name, it's literally just under the image. You do realize that like the name of the blueprint is displayed right under the thumbnail. Why are you putting the name in the thumbnail? What else? And your name is displayed right under that name. So like, why put any... Just the thumbnail is for the blueprint. Fill it up with the blueprint. Do not have any fancy planets in the background. Just black background is preferable for it. There's black skyboxes, so just make a world with it and put the blueprint there. And bam, perfect. Just the blueprint. Perfect. No distractions, just the blueprint. It stands out visibly, and it's not a mess. Please make proper thumbnails. Please think about what you're doing and not just copy other creators, because guess what? Those other creators copied other creators as well. Like, literally no one thinks what they're doing. I have no idea why, but very bizarre. So yeah, I think I'm done. See ya.